Yo. What? No, you're good. All right, just like that, we are live. Sorry. My little brother decided to come in and distract me real quick because we're just getting situated, but hope everyone's doing well. What a time to be alive. Get out of here, brother. What are you doing? I'm straight. This guy's just messing with me today, but it's all good. So much to talk about, a lot of miscellaneous stuff going on. I'm going to talk about some changes, kind of thinking about making moving forward to Tetron and just my game plan, we'll see how it goes because I'm just like everyone who's been watching me a while knows. I'm just really figuring it out as I go, but so much going on in the world as always. I mean, I've been caught up. I watched that guy. I'm sure you guys have maybe seen him. It's like Dog Pack 404 about how Mr. Beast is a fraud. I always thought Mr. Beast is a pretty good guy, but I don't know. What some of the evidence he's presenting, pretty crazy, honestly, right? But trying not to get too caught up in drama, but I do find that interesting. Manuel, hope you're doing well. Thanks for being here. Just getting all situated. Got the chat pulled up on the side. Had a problem starting the stream, but we're here. And I feel like low-key, a lot of people are probably going to be watching the thing with Elon and the former presidential candidate tonight. So that's why I figured I'd start up the stream a little bit early, go till about 8. But really what I'm thinking about in moving forwards is I really want to get back to making videos more often. So So I really want to get back into making videos more often and really go more in depth and just provide you guys with more value in what I'm talking about and just really research things in more depth and go into more detail when I do my streams. And in turn, like making better videos, I think will help me make better streams. And I'm thinking about really just doing like Monday nights and then maybe Friday mornings before the market opens. So for right now, I'm just doing Monday for this particular week. Stay tuned. If you don't already, follow me on X at Tetron Invest. That's where I'm always posting my updates of what I'm doing and whatnot. So you can find my updates there. So I got the stream tweeted out today, heads up this morning, and then also the CandyCon controller, which I do want to show you guys real quick. And oh, I keep going to the wrong thing. It works great. Well, you got to see it that way. So I also got myself extra faceplate, in case I want to swap it out. And it's really simple. I'll just show you guys real quick. So you just slide this right off. See, nice and easy. Put the purple. Like, all right, I want to change it up. Boom. Just like that. It's basically a new remote, right? And then also I do have these extra orange ones. So theoretically, actually, now that I'm just thinking about it, I could swap it out where one of these could be orange and then the other one could be blue, and that could be kind of cool. Maybe that's something I'll do down the line. But yeah, I'm gonna pop it back off. Kind of feeling the red lately, but gotta have a little diversity. Why not? And maybe eventually I'll get a second controller, but as of right now, I really only need one. I only have a PC. I debated getting the Switch. I kind of have for a while, but it's like at the same time, the Switch 2 is coming out, so I feel like at this point, maybe might as well wait. And ideally, CandyCon controllers are available for Switch 2. Come to think of it, I do want to add that here in my notes. So I'll add that like just as an additional thought way down the line here. And this is something also I'm really trying to work on myself, just better adding my notes over time, being better at adding to my notes, so I can just really keep a timeline of like what I'm thinking and when I'm thinking it, type of thing. So, will CandyCon controllers be available for Switch 2? So just a little adding in there. And then this is just a miscellaneous thought the other day. If the Fed is cutting rates and the Bank of Japan is raising rates, the further extends the unwinding of the yen carry trade. Many investors have been borrowing the yen, converting to US dollars, so the market is now pricing in the fact Japan is tightening policy and the US is loosening policy, hurting investors on the conversion. I might have had that backwards, right? Technically, the US is tightening, Japan is loosening, right? But again, it's just a quick thought. I kind of just get everything quickly pulled up here, but that's how thoughts start. You start with them initially, and then you build upon them, and that's really why I like this app, Obsidian, because especially with like the GameStop canvas I've really built it out. I got a lot of different stuff going on down here. Got competitors down there. We got just general financial statements. And then if I ever need to check any numbers like on the margins, and I got all the share offering details. So I'm going to keep expanding upon that. These are some estimates I had earlier in the year for GameStop. We'll see how I feel about them going forwards. So this is again as of about April. I was hoping for 25.5% gross margins, operating margin of 2%, then net margin of 3%. Although looking at how Q1 went, it's starting to feel like that operating margin goal would be a little bit ambitious, and an SG&A at 23.6. But looking over here, we see that we only have gross and net margin here, not including operating margin. So overall, obviously there's going to be need to be a lot more work done, but historically speaking, Q1 has been their weakest quarter, so we'll see what comes with that. Although looking back here now, like gross margin seems very doable based on Q1, but operating and net seem far off, and then also SG&A very far off at this given point in time. But again, we got 3 more quarters left this year. We have about, I'd say, a month or so until GameStop launches their earnings report. Usually about 2 weeks before they say like, okay, like we're gonna release earnings on this date. So be on the lookout for that. So controller mode, add add J Core. Thanks for being here. Hope you're doing well. Make no mistake, Tetron, what's up? What's up? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. But yeah, what a time to be alive. Same thoughts waiting on Switch too. Exactly. And I just figured, I'm like, you know what? I don't have the newest Xbox. I don't have the newest PlayStation. So for me, like, I primarily game on the PC. Like, I love to run the Wii or the GameCube with the boys. Like, that is just good memories. And it feels like we're younger again. And just now we just hang out, have some beers. Like, that's always a good time. But like, when I'm at home, like on my own or like playing online with people, like, I'm using my PC. So I'm like, all right, like, it would make sense to have a controller, right? So I was like, well, it's GameStop. Why don't I want to support my favorite company, right? And I truly did also want to try out the controller for myself, and I really do think it functions well. And obviously, anyone that knows me that knows that like GameStop will say that's bias, and sure, yeah, it is biased, but all I can say is try for yourself and tell me what you think, right? So overall, though, I think it really does function well. It was so funny. You gotta love X, right? You gotta love the comments. I just took this quick before I left to work because this was like, my morning tweet idea. So I was like, all right, I'm gotta get to work though. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take this picture, then I'll post when I get to work. So I didn't have any other pictures, but it looks like a mini controller, the angle I took it, and with the box behind it, like, and of course, I got these on my desk, right? The Tide to Go wipes, so clutch because I'm the messiest eater, so like having this has saved so many pairs of pants and good shirts of mine, such as this one. This exact shirt has been saved before by Tide to Go. Although no free ads, not endorsing them in any which way, but those have been clutch. But it looks like a tiny controller. 56, is that a mini controller? This image is an optical illusion. And it's pretty funny. Everyone's like, and someone said like, oh my god, crazy things. But I love it. I love X. I love the ups and downs of it. But anyways, let's get back into some numbers here. So the first order of business in terms of GameStop is this it? No. A little unorganized here. But GameStop is launching. Okay, sure. We'll take the cookies. So I have to read more into this, but I just initially saw this, and those of you who know me know I just kind of sent it to myself, and then I check on it later. And Mod Retro and GameStop launch exclusive chromatic colorway. Retro gaming hardware trends past mainstream consoles in weekend push. Mod Retro, the emerging leader. Oh, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. The emerging leader in Heirloom Quality Electronics is thrilled to announce the successful launch of an exclusive chromatic colorway available only at GameStop. So that right there stood out to me. Available only at GameStop. Very good for GameStop, obviously. This nostalgic device exemplifies the retro gaming renaissance and its top 10 position in GameStop's weekend console sales, combined with GameStop's significant role in the national collections market. In indicate the future of gaming is indeed retro. I think retro games never go away. Well, as I just sang like 2 minutes ago, that I still love to play the Wii and GameCube games to this day. So you might think, well, that's not truly retro, but to me, it kind of is retro because as I'm aging, like those are the games and consoles I used growing up, and I have so many great memories of. So like when I go back and play Mario Super Sluggers, like it's just like the best feeling ever. So I definitely like see where this idea comes from. The new colorway has rapidly become a favorite, diving unprecedented demand in the cartridge-based console space. The device is positioned perfectly to capture the immense rise in popularity of retro gaming in the face of low-quality, microtransaction-based mobile titles from major studios. Key highlights: top 10 seller, exclusive chromatic colorway at GameStop has swiftly climbed the sales charts, outperforming hardware like Meta Quest VR headset over the weekend. This shows the modern consumer demands both quality and protection from planned obsolescence, traits often lacking in the gaming space. Palmer Lucky, Mod Retro's founder, expresses excitement on X. This is just the start for GME plus MR. There's so much more on the way. Already curious about that right there, and I'm already going to go ahead and just dump this in and sort it out later to my big canvas over here of miscellaneous stuff. Put this one at the top so I remember to look at it. So you just paste it right in. Boom. Now I can just reference this in the future anytime I need to. So I grew up with midnight parking lot release parties and made sure the Oculus Rift CV1 was in physical GameStop stores for launch day. Teenage me would never have imagined our little hobby forum getting the chance to meet up with this resurgence powerhouse to supercharge retro gaming. Retro gaming renaissance. The success of the chromatic console is part of the larger retro gaming renaissance, with Mod Retro leading the movement by offering the highest quality devices that blend nostalgic elements with modern advancements. Mod Retro is setting a new standard in the industry and rekindling a love for classic game. I think that's absolutely great, and that is a big part of it, right? It's like you want that retro aspect, but you want like modern functionality so it runs well and it's easy for people to use and play. So, a reliable supply chain, Mod Retro is well prepared to meet the surging demand for excess chromatic colorway thanks to its near-shored manufacturing facility. Strategic setup ensures efficient production and timely deliveries, providing customers with a seamless shopping experience. Strategic retail partnership, the collaboration with GameStop not only brings the chromatic to a wider audience, but also reinforces the bond between two iconic brands in the gaming community. This partnership is a testament to Mod Retro's commitment to making high quality retro gaming accessible to all. And this is a quote from CEO of Mod Retro, Torin Herndon, commented on the successful launch. GameStop has carried the torch for gaming enthusiasts since the Atari 2600, and it should come as no surprise that the gaming enthusiasts love Chromatic. We built the Chromatic around our own love of classic games, and no other device can touch its level of authenticity. GameStop's vast inventory of collectible games from the era, combined with our brand new and remastered titles of Chromatic form on the Ultimate Library, which shine light on the golden era of handheld gaming that we were so fond of. Mod Retro's innovative approach and dedication to quality have resonated deeply with consumers, driving the brand's rapid growth. The exclusive colorway launch at GameStop marks another significant milestone in Mod Retro's journey, solidifying its position as a leader in the retro gaming environment. So, about Mod Retro is a heirloom quality consumer electronics company committed to creating timeless, high quality electronic devices that rekindle cherished memories and bring joy to users of all ages. The Chromatic Mod Retro's flagship product is the ultimate tribute to classic handheld, blending nostalgic design with modern technology. As you guys may have noticed, I'm really trying to work on getting better at reading faster because like I want to go through like whole pieces of information, but I don't want to bore you guys like reading slow. So I'm trying to get faster and faster at that. But what really gets me excited here is one, that it's, I would say three things. One, it's exclusive to GameStop. Two, this founder says we're we're so excited. This is just a start. There's more on the way. What does that mean? We'll find out. Maybe this is a hint down here where it's just referencing Mod Retro's flagship product. Flagship means it's first product, just what they're starting with. So, what will they be evolving into? How will they be building upon this? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't think anybody exactly can right now. Maybe there's some hints you could find out there, but definitely something to keep an eye on and just another small step in the right direction. You know what the haters are already going to say, like, oh, what is this going to do for GameStop? It's not going to change anything with the traffic. They're still going to close more stores. It's still all bad, right? And it's like, it's just another small step in the right direction. And I get that some people are like, okay, like, I don't want to wait around forever. How could you just want to wait around forever with this investment? But for me, I'm really in no rush, especially at this given point in time with what's taken place where they've raised all this cash this year and they're at the point where they have roughly $9.62 per share in cash. Roughly, right? We'll see for sure when the Q2 earnings report comes out, but they definitely are stacked with cash. And even if they do nothing for the next several years, so long as they're breaking even, it's not like they're going to go bankrupt, right? Like the chance of bankruptcy for GameStop is essentially zero over the next 3 years, in my opinion. The only potential X factor where that could not be the case is if they go aggressively spend on a project or new initiative or acquisition and then it doesn't work out, right? That is obviously a risk. That is a reasonable risk to assume. But, excuse me, as it stands today, not knowing exactly what's going to happen moving forward and what any big plan of theirs is going forwards, it's pretty much impossible to say like GameStop's going bankrupt or not. Anybody that tells you like GameStop's going bankrupt by like the end of 2025 simply just hasn't looked at the numbers. Like it's really that simple. And again, you can always make your own opinion. I want to be perfectly clear. I'm never here to tell anybody what to do or how to invest. And I think one of the most beautiful things about this whole saga that is GameStop is a lot of people have learned the value of investing and importance of investing. And I think there's a good amount of people where GameStop was their first stock purchase. So they've started with that. They've evolved. They look into some other things. They maybe get interested in Bitcoin, maybe just get better understanding of building wealth and just the idea of being more frugal and the craziness that is inflation and the Federal Reserve and just a lot of the stuff going on in the world with finance that impacts the average person's life going forward. So I think it really is the big picture is often ignored by like especially the haters and the naysayers of GameStop. They just don't see the big picture that it's like I think it's overall like a great experience for a lot of people. But of course, everybody's in their own boat. Everybody's in their own situation. I can only speak for myself. As someone who's been interested in stocks and markets for a while now, I'm really fortunate to have gained the knowledge I have over the past few years. I feel like 2016 to 2020, I was a fool thinking I knew what I did, one foot in the door, one foot out. But now I feel like since really 2021 and beyond, I understand the importance of doing due diligence, research, and I was very, very fortunate to make my silly mistakes early on in my quote investing career because I didn't have significant money. My parents didn't say, "Oh, here's your savings. Go invest it in stocks. Good luck." I was using money I made snow shoveling when I got my first part-time job at like a photo studio. I used to edit wedding photos and eventually started going to the weddings, being the photo booth guy, and that was the money I was using to make stupid mistakes, like trying to just YOLO on options and hope for the best, right? And just learning a lot of lessons and just you have to take what you learn and just continue to improve. So no matter what happens with GameStop, I truly think a lot of people have learned a lot of information about functionality of the markets, importance of investing, and just building your wealth over time. And I do think GameStop it's going to work out for them, but I do understand like there are many challenges ahead. It's going to be so much easier said than done. And we'll just see what happens. That's all I can say. We'll see what happens. It might sound like kind of lame, but I'm not here to tell you guys what's going to happen. I'm here to just document the journey the whole way, share my perspective, and just share as much knowledge as possible. So that's how I'm just rocking and rolling. So, what's the timeline for Switch 2? Make no mistake, that's a good question. I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it's like next summer. I could be wrong though. Dukin, hope you're doing well. Thanks for being here. So go. Happy Monday, Elitis. Yo, Michael Venturi or Venut. I'm just gonna call you Michael, or I'll call you Mike. I'll call you Mike. I'm so bad at announcing stuff, so I don't want to mispronounce it. But hope you're doing well, man. Let's go. There's one sexy looking clothes. It's so obvious how strong we are. Yeah, no, listen. That's the thing. I had such a busy afternoon. For some reason, my job just all of a sudden will get so busy the second half of the day, like after like noon or 1 p.m. So I really just kind of lose track of markets. And then it was like as I was leaving the office today, I'm looking. I'm like, oh, huh, GameStop bounced back right at the end of the day. I'll take it. I'll take it any day of the week. So, meow meow. What up? What up, Brett? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for being here. I pre-ordered the mod retro Game Boy. Nice, awesome. Let me know what you think of it. Definitely pull up. Let me know. Give me a review. I'd definitely be curious to hear what you have to say. Yo, Tetron. Hey everyone. Giga. What's up? What's up? Hope you're doing well. Hard to see the big picture when the CEO supports Israel and coup in Venezuela. You first. My opinion. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you being here. That's all I can say. But listen, I I don't just because Ryan Cohen is tweeting like certain types of politics, that's not going to change how like I feel about the company. He can say whatever he wants to say at the end of the day, and I'm just going to look at what the company's doing and personally focus on that. So, but yeah, listen, I think I know who you might be. You might be my favorite follower on X who likes to comment and everything. But that's the funny thing. Like if anybody like you're more than welcome to come here and share that you completely disagree with me, but like whether you like it or not, all that does is make me stronger because it just builds my engagement and it helps me build my platform more. And that's fine to disagree. It's literally okay to disagree with me. But if you want to spend your time like that and just consistently show up, if you're the person I think you are, right? It could be wrong. I could be wrong. You could just be another random person, and that's all right too. But this one individual just is so consistent on my X page, and I'm like, he's actually like one of the most frequent people commenting on my posts, so he's actually helping me like inadvertently. So I just kind of think that's funny. But hey, listen, at the end of the day, nobody knows what's gonna happen. I truly think nobody knows what's gonna happen in 3, 4, 5 years from now. So much can change between now and then in terms of the world, the gaming industry, GameStop, and we'll just have to wait and see, right? That's all we can really do. Just wait and see and just keep rocking and rolling. So. And then I found this page at GME Timeline. Pretty small account, but posted some general stuff on GameStop, and I thought this was pretty interesting. So this is as of June 13th, so it's a bit out of date, and there could have been other updated filings by now. But it is interesting to look at just a general overview when you realize that Ryan Cohen is the single largest shareholder, and then you see that Roaring Kitty, so you have RC and then RK, is also a very massive shareholder, owning 2% of shares outstanding. If he ever were to own, I think it's 5%, that's where we then get the filing. And there was no filing that he sold Chewy, so I don't know what the deal is with that, and he's gone quiet. So another thing we'll have to just kind of wait and see on. You can negotiate that, not negotiate, but um, what's the word I'm looking for? Like dissect the memes and his posts and like what's the message. But for me, I'm just gonna focus on GameStop and just focus on my own approach and what I'm doing to invest and whatnot, and not worry about it too much. But the chart was interesting. Obviously, the big three: Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street. They're pretty much always the big three. If you look at any stock in the whole market, they're almost always the top three institutional owners. That's just the way she goes. But you also have the DRS shares and then also the plan shares. That's a whole conversation itself. But still a pretty good chunk of the shares, 14.4% directly registered at this time. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. And DRS numbers have stagnated for a while. There's some speculation on that, but I don't know. We'll just have to see. That's all I can say. Oh, it's the first time I've commented, but it's all good. I appreciate your opinion. No, my opinion, it's all good. Okay, I thought you were this one guy on X. Like he literally can't stop trolling me. Like it's literally okay. Like it's totally fine to do whatever you guys want. Like I want to be clear about that too. Like I never ever want to be in the business of giving financial advice unless I get some kind of credentials to do so. And even then, I wouldn't just come on here and say financial advice, right? Also, if you guys weren't aware, I literally have a video on my channel, right? One of my most recent videos. If you go here, and where is it? This is not financial advice. It's a whole compilation of me saying that I do not provide financial advice. just to clarify, just in case anybody was unaware. But we're gonna go through some other GameStop stuff and then talk about some miscellaneous like Bitcoin and just economy stuff. Another 1.2 million in January 2026, 125 puts have sold this morning for GME, at least a fourth time in the last 2 weeks. So this is something I often question, but I just don't know exactly what to think about it, right? Like, how does this just pop up? It just doesn't make sense. Like, who is just selling a bunch of 125 puts? It just seems like a very like liquidity grab type of move, like very roughly speaking. But it is worth noting that when you look at the flow, right? When I was trying to understand the flow a while back, you realize that when there's options being bought and sold, or like every time you see like big block trades like this, there's always a buyer and there's always a seller, right? Someone has to sell. If the one institution's buying a ton of options, another institution has to sell them those options, right? So you think, why is somebody scratching someone else's back? Potentially, it's like you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Maybe allegedly, I don't know, but it's like who would just you don't ever really see this. And if you guys have any other examples, definitely let me know of stocks where they're deep in the money puts, right? Like GameStop's nowhere even remotely close to 125 right now, but yet there's huge block trades of it. Like it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't add up, right? So just some food for thought there. I don't have like an exact analysis on it, but definitely food for thought. And then another little piece of news: GameStop renamed the old GameStop esports account to Buck and at the Buck the Bunny and made it private. So just Buck, just the ears at Buck the Bunny. I don't know. I've kind of seen Buck thrown around a while. It was like in the one NFT collection, but and then it says in rehab. So what does that mean? I don't know. And then it was GameStop Esports. He joined in May 2021, and then May 2021. Shout out to Roaring Pika. I'm sure you guys have seen him. I feel like his posts are always entertaining. And then once in a while, I'm like, hey, look, this is a good piece of information I need to know. And a little side note, I don't know if you guys saw, you can like sort the replies now on X. I think that's pretty cool. Most recent, so you can see which one's like the most replied to one. And the most relevant is how it used to be, just like algo. And it says, let's watch the super moon together tonight. A moon so bright they named it Buck. So that was a while back, and I didn't really know what came with that. And then, see, that was the 14th of July, 2022, and March 30th, 2021. So this man might just be a time traveler. I seriously think this man might just be a time traveler, honestly. Like, if there's someone on this planet that's a time traveler, I think it's DFE, honestly, to be honest. So that's that. But Let's see, did anything else GameStop here? We had the institutional ownership. So, all right, we'll go back to the chat real quick, and then we'll get a little more to the Bitcoin and some of the stuff with the yen. And really, I just think it's almost funny how it's like the yen on carry trade, right? Just unwinds, and then in one day, and then it's just done. Like that just doesn't make sense. Like I really don't understand it. So if you look at the S&P 500, right? I mean, I guess it was happening the week going into it, but anytime we sort of have these type of events, it's like a flash crash, and then the market like just keeps going like nothing ever happened, right? And then this is obviously the GameStop daily chart as of right now. We've really kind of just sort of flatlined. We're in this like 20 to 30 range, right? Roughly ever since the second share offering. But just looking at S&P, right? So this is, let's see, let's go year to date. So you had the end of last week, or sorry, end of the week prior, the market started dropping and it started tipping a little bit prior to that. But then Bank of Japan cut rates, it really started dropping. And then overnight, right, that weekend, I remember Ethereum was down like 20% in a 5-minute candle or something insane. Bitcoin was down a ton. Japanese markets got absolutely crushed. What is it, the Nikkei 250? I don't know what they call it. It's on here somewhere. Let's see. Yep, the Nick. I guess you say it like that. Nikkei 225. But you see, it's bounced back quite a bit, but it still got absolutely crushed on that news. And this stuff really impacts worldwide markets. And it's just hard for me to believe. It's like, oh yeah, all the damage was done in here, and like it's done. Everything's okay now. There's no more yen carry trades to be unwound. There's no more global issues or any other potential reason for the market to fall. And it just feels like you should never go based on feeling in the market. Let me be perfectly clear, but it just feels like things have been too good for too long. And it is worth noting though that if the market from October 2023 to now, or to let's say from October 2023, or let's say a 1 year period, right? It can go from 448 to a peak of 565. It could come down that fast just as quick in a 1 year span. So if the market could go up this much in a 1 year span, it could just as easily theoretically fall as much. So that's just some food for thought there. It's obviously not that simple, but also when you just look at, we've been printing money, just pumping liquidity into the system for a long time. Pretty alarming. And then you look beyond that. Where am I over here? So the Fed's reverse repo (RRP) facility has dropped below 300 billion. I remember a while back on Superstonk, this was frequently talked about and frequently posted. This whole rise up here, and there's a new record, right? And it peaked a little over 2 trillion. At one point, it looks like we were almost at 2.5, maybe 2.3. Oh yeah, see, plummeted by 2.3 trillion since December 2022, and that's where we had this peak right here. So if you're not familiar, the RRP is one of the financial system's excess liquidity metrics and is widely watched by investors. Large banks, government-sponsored enterprises, and money market funds put their extra cash into the facility to earn interest on it. Reverse repo is usage has plummeted by 2.3 trillion since December 2022. The last several months, however, the decline has stabilized, and the facility usage has been oscillating around 3 to 400 billion. Is liquidity drying up? Maybe. It's arguable. I don't know. I think if everything else is starting to struggle a bit, then we could see us get drained further. And then, for a long time, a lot of people have speculated that a big market crash would come when this really completely dries up. But that's allegedly, right? We'll see. So, let's see. RP means liquidity is up. Don't mislead people. Okay. This is not good. On the other hand, cash is on the sidelines there. 2021 was peak liquidity, so this means liquidity is back. Liquidity's evaporating, so anyone, I just got it. Sometimes it's a good comment, sometimes there's not, right? I guess that's why you should go to most liked if you want the most liked by the people. So, but then even beyond that, this is while the net short positions of the Japanese yen hit their highest level on record last week. This metric is often used to assess the volume of carry trade. These speculative short positions on the Japanese currency have more than tripled in just 3 years. They even exceeded the levels in 2007 before the financial crisis. In 2008, investors rapidly deleveraged and unwound carry trade positions, leading to liquidity crunch and crashing the market. Will history repeat itself? Is this updated to the very day where a lot of trades got unwound on that Monday? That was crazy to think, literally only 1 week ago, and suddenly the market was fine, everything was better. and everyone thought we were suddenly going into a recession just a week ago, and now everyone's like, ah, yeah, everything's fine, right? But when you zoom out and realize like a recession is not just a one day event or just a sudden thing. Like I think people are of, I don't want to say scarred in terms of the market from the pandemic, but you saw such a chaotic, unique event where it's like the market dropped so much in such a short period of time, so rapidly, so much panic, so much uncertainty. And that's really why the drop was so massive, in my opinion, because of the massive amount of uncertainty surrounding what was happening. Nobody knew what was happening. And in mid March, it was like, okay, wait, I'm not and that time I was still in college. It was like March 2020. I'm like, wait, I'm not going back after this semester. I get to do the rest at home. What? Like, all kinds of crazy things were happening in the world, right? So this was a very unique crash, and that's not how a crash typically is. 2022. I don't know if I would call it a recession. It was definitely I would say, healthy pullback for the market, but to me, the real concerning thing is just the endless printing of money and the debt to GDP ratio just going higher and higher and higher to the point where what happens if we become like Japan, right? In terms of the dollar becoming like the yen in a sense, the debt to GDP ratio is so massive, right? Because Japan's is a couple 100%. It's like 300% of GDP, right? And they've kind of been in an elongated stagflation period, and that's why they never really raise rates. And they're like, all right, well, the yen is doing so badly against the dollar, our citizens are getting so screwed, we should start raising rates. They raise them a little bit, all this starts to happen, right? Oh, actually, we're not going to do that anymore. But if you're an average Japanese citizen, you're probably like, wait, what? Now prices are going to go up even more. What the heck? Like, because they're also a heavy, from what I understand, importing economy, right? Meaning they're not exporting a lot of stuff. So if they're importing a lot of stuff, they got to convert and then buy in dollars. But if their yen is worth less dollars, then they're getting the most screwed, honestly. And they're already not in a great spot given that debt to GDP is such a massive amount, right? So, again, all just food for thought there. All just food for thought. But let's see. All right, yeah, I'm not going to get into all the politics and everything, but because I can, what's up? What's up? Hope everyone's doing well. Good to see you here. So, well, okay, there we go. But to go into a little more about Bitcoin, I saw this is suddenly a conversation about like BlackRock like cornering the market, but Peruvian Bull I think puts it pretty well. Essentially, what he says here, if you want to read the whole post, but essentially saying if BlackRock does buy up a ton, that just limits the supply even more, and then if they go ahead and dump it, then it just continues to shake out the paper hands essentially, and then the diamond hands just accumulating and holding. Because I feel like most Bitcoin holders just buy and hodl. And if you're truly a long-term person on it, for me, that's what I'm doing. Like I have it set up right now where I'm just buying like a few bucks literally every single day, and then during certain dips, I'll go in and buy a little bit more. And I'm really just accumulating. But I do have some set aside where if it gets to like certain price points, right, we're talking like 100 plus, I'm going to take a little bit of profit because that's money I'm thinking I'm going to want more so in the near term. In my near term, maybe not the same as your near term. I would say, I guess it's more, I guess you could say middle term. It's like 1 to 3 years from now. And when I just think of some more life events going on that I'll need more cash accessible. So that's where I look to maybe, so I would say it's basically a long-term swing trade with some of it, but majority of my Bitcoin I'm just holding. And then with that swing trade, if it winds up in a situation where Bitcoin does kind of just flatline, float around where it's at for a while now, so be it. I will go ahead and just hold that because I do believe in it in the long term. But again, that's just me. And with my thesis around Bitcoin, and that's another canvas I'm building out here, is really it boils down to the fact that our government just endlessly, and when I say our government, I'm from the United States, and it's happening worldwide though, mostly because of the United States and abusing their power, being um, the world reserve currency. Those are the words I'm looking for, right? So, with that being said, I can't tell you exactly what is going to happen, right? I really don't think anybody can, and it's always important to do your own due diligence. But do you really see a world where 5 years from now we're going to do less government spending? We always way overspend versus what we take in taxes, so that's not going to stop. And then if debt to GDP is already over 100%, you're just issuing new debt now at higher interest rates to pay down old debt. So you're just kicking the can down the road, but this time you're kicking the can and like the can's kind of exploding because the interest rate for a long time, interest rates were in the toilet, right? Floating between 0 and 2%. This is the highest interest rates have been since I've ever looked at money. I remember learning about bonds in college and thinking to myself, who would ever put money in bonds? You're going to earn a measly 1%. The market's the way to go, right? Why would you ever care about that? And now it's like, and the idea of the risk-free rate, and like, oh well, the risk-free rate right now is currently zero because essentially zero because the federal funds rate is zero. And I was like, what? That doesn't even make sense. Like, so it's like for a long time that was just left to be, and it's like that is not sustainable. And now that rates are finally back, all those years when people are buying treasury bills and like T bonds, right? All different government securities that they're selling, that you're supposed to. Oh yeah, it's backed by the full faith of the United States government. They're selling them at 1, 2, maybe 3% interest rates. Now they're like 4, 5, and 6, right? Roughly. And that's a significant difference when you scale it up and look that it's literally trillions of dollars that we're talking about. So that's really for me like the thesis behind Bitcoin, that inflation is a huge, huge problem that's not going away, and Bitcoin is not deflationary but is disinflationary. So it's disinflationary in the sense that it's being created slower and slower over time. Every time Bitcoin halves, half as much Bitcoin is being created and mined daily. So that's why the halving is also historically a bullish event. So meanwhile, the dollar supply is going exponential and the Bitcoin supply is reverse exponential. Most of it was created already and then it's being created super, super slow to the point where the last Bitcoin's not going to be mined till pretty much after we're all gone. Unless modern medicine gets super modern and crazy and allows people to live really, really long, because that is literally 120 years from now and the last Bitcoin will be mined. It's like 1,000, how do you even say that? 2144? It's crazy to even think. But I just want to at least live to the year 2100. I always thought that would be cool because as someone that's being born in 2000, if I could go a whole century, I'll be incredibly thankful. I'll say that. So, but you're starting to see this a little bit more, like Metaplanet arranges a loan to buy Bitcoin. I don't know about doing that. And I also want to say, I don't want Bitcoin to be on GameStop's balance sheet. I thought about that. I kind of like the idea of it originally, maybe a little bit, but I feel like I invest in Bitcoin for Bitcoin and I invest in GameStop for GameStop. So I would rather just keep them separate. I'll invest. I have enough Bitcoin on the side where I don't need it to be part for GameStop to put some of their cash into it, right? It's like if they did it, I wouldn't lose sleep over it. I'd be like, okay, but I feel like it's probably best for them not to. And also, given that they've been very conservative this whole time, waiting to make an acquisition of any kind, why would they at this point then go buy a risk adverse asset, right? And again, I think long term it's going to be fine and it's going to do well given the situation of the currency printing across the globe. But I don't think that's the spot they're in and the move they should make. And that's what the average GameStop investor would want. So that's just my thought there in terms of its relation to GameStop. But I thought this was an interesting post by Amit. I think he's all right. I don't agree with everything he says, but I think he's a pretty interesting guy, and I can always respect someone interesting and just kind of talking openly. I don't think he's super like all this or all that, but if you think we see 100K, please explain why below as well. Really curious to sentiment. I saw a really good reply here, which I thought was interesting. So majority of the Mount Gox, that's like the huge criminal empire. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and Germany distributions are behind us. So a lot of them have been the Bitcoin owned by governments decided to sell it. Major wirehouses and wealth management platforms onboard in Q3 and Q4. That is also happening. Possible Trump win. FTX cash claims distribution that is coming. I think a lot of people will get cash claims from that. Are gonna, I don't want to say all put in Bitcoin. Definitely some are gonna be scarred, but some of them would be able to do it. Leveraged, flushed with Japan panic, and we're at 60K. Russia's mining nation state FOMO. That's true. I think because like Russia as like an enemy of the U.S. is doing it, that also like builds the case of it being something valid for the United States to be involved in, right? And also just blockchain technology in general, because it's like semiconductors aren't really being made here, right? Look what's going on with Intel. So do you want the same kind of thing to happen with crypto? I don't know. But again, I really don't like to get into politics. I don't like any of that nonsense. Like, I know how I feel about certain things, and everyone's got an opinion, right? And you just have to respect that at the end of the day and agree to disagree. And that's just not what I care about talking about. So like, I'll just focus on the numbers and let the politics be, right? I at the end of the day too, I truly believe it doesn't matter who the next president is of the United States. It's what I'm going to do in my life and what's going to happen to me for over the next 4 years is going to be most dictated by me. Yeah, sure, there's going to be small things, but where I am in 4 years from now is not going to be whether or not Kamala or Trump is the one in the Oval Office. It's going to be based on the work I put in, the time I put in, and what I do over time. And that's really my overall opinion. But this is also worth noting. Wales bought the highest Bitcoin ever since October 2014. This was after the little flash crash, I guess you could call it, from last week. Just a huge amount of large holders accumulated a ton of Bitcoin in this short period of time. So that's definitely worth noting. And I saw another stat, I don't think I have it on here, where essentially Bitcoin right now, like some major, like there are more large wallets than ever before. Part of that could be institutions, but I think there's just some real whales that are low key accumulating right now. It really does seem to be that way. So, excuse me, we'll see. What's up, Tetron? You're killing it. Keep it up. Thanks, Scott. I'm trying my best out here, man. I'm really trying my best. Just rocking and rolling, trying to keep improving and just cover more and more information. Just get really more and more in depth on stuff like that. So, having said that, I do want to go into the Fed a little bit here. So, I do agree with this take that they're pretty much in a lose-lose situation, but it's also because of just the excessive money printing for so long. If the Fed cuts rates aggressively right now, markets tank further and they risk a resurgence of inflation. Cutting U.S. rates will only make the yen carry trade unwinding worse. Very much agreed right here, because that's the thing too. It didn't just happen suddenly. Only the people who were getting liquidated weren't prepared for a scenario like that where it could suddenly switch. What if things were to get worse on the trade, right? Which the currency conversion rate between the yen and the dollar could very much be affected when the US starts cutting rates. And they're talking about cutting rates. So if there are people who didn't get liquidated or who open no new positions, there's always a chance they get liquidated as more and more pressure gets put on, depending on the value of the currency conversion rate. Obviously, there's a lot of X factors, but I don't think it was just done. That's what I'm trying to say here. I was trying to say before. I don't think it's just done after this little drop. Like, oh yeah, like after that, like everybody who was over leveraged is good. It's all fine now. Like that's not the case. That's just simply not the case. Oh yeah, so this is the I did have it here. Whales are accumulating Bitcoin like never seen before. Something is coming big time. I don't know about that. I think anything could happen tomorrow, the next day, whenever, right? But this is crazy. So Bitcoin 30-day demand change, permanent holder addresses and ETFs. So no ETFs is permanent holder demand change 30 days. So huge demand. But what defines a permanent holder? Although this is a good comment here, this is likely mostly institutional buyers. There was always going to be a significant lag from when the ETF started, but when institutions buy, they hodl. Bitcoin available for purchase is going to become much scarcer. Yeah, scarcer, and then price action goes through the roof. So we'll see. Permanent holder damage demand change. Yeah, that's the good. That's the question I had immediately. Now that I'm looking at it again, what makes someone a permanent holder? I'd love to know where this chart was from. So that is definitely a question worth asking, right? But there's definitely interest surrounding it. It's just a matter of like demand is definitely a factor, but to me the supplies are the thing that stand out to me. The supply of Bitcoin and how it functions, and the supply of the U.S. dollar and how it functions is really what stands out the most to me. So this, you gotta. That's why it's also good to double check stuff and write stuff down and look at it again with a fresh pair of eyes. Because now I'm looking at this and I'm like, what the hell is a permanent holder? Who defines that, right? So that's why I wish I also knew where this came from. I guess I could probably maybe screen search it. It's from Crypto Quant. Maybe they define it as any account, Bitcoin account that's held it for over a year or has held Bitcoin and never sold it. Maybe that's the definition of it, right? A wallet that's in existence that's accumulated more Bitcoin but never sold it before. But then when does it fall off this chart? When they do sell it? Like there's a bunch of sellers, a bunch of buyers right here that for whatever reason suddenly this number just dropped off. So, but definitely like I would say in part attributable to the ETFs. So just in, 1.3 trillion asset manager Morgan Stanley advisors to offer spot Bitcoin ETFs starting today. So while they're offering it, it doesn't necessarily mean there's demand though, but it is interesting because Morgan Stanley is at a massive scale and that's a lot of potential money flowing in, right? But it's also one of those things where I feel like if you're looking at it, you're just learning about it. You're looking at its valuation right now, and you're looking at the number on it compared to its all-time high and where it was just a little over a year ago, and you're like, ah, well, actually, Bitcoin could go down more before I start accumulating it, right? But at the end of the day, nobody knows exactly when it's going to happen, right? And just the thing I've realized more and more the longer I'm in investing and just in the game of finance, if you want to call it that, is that dollar cost averaging, and I did a post on this a while back. Dollar cost averaging is the way to go. It's so hard to time the market, and it's so much better just be in the market, right? Time in the market is greater than timing the market. And what I mean by that is instead of trying to get in and then get out at the right moment each and every time, you just consistently accumulate great companies and or great assets that you believe to be great assets over time on a long-term basis. And time again, from what I understand, and I literally want to make an in-depth video on this, studies show, and I want to literally show you guys the studies and the data and the information, that accumulating and just dollar cost averaging is much more efficient than trading. They almost always outperform. Oh yeah, and I got a frog, guys. Check it out. Calvin, he's having a snack in this video. He's absolutely bulling. He's a straight underwater frog, so he doesn't, and he can live with the fish. Like, they're peaceful, they coexist, they're just chilling. See, I got a whole bunch of fish now. I got a little, the guy from Finding Nemo, the turtle. I got the little SpongeBob section of the crib. So, I love this freaking frog. I think it's my favorite thing to tank now. I have shrimp. I have snails. I wish my webcam, it's literally right there, but the webcam won't, like, go that way because the cord is too short from where it's plugged in my computer. But I really just love, I really love aquatics. So it's actually become such a hobby of mine. Like, I cycle a tank every week. I'm like reading about how to better take care of them. But I have 4 snails, 2 shrimp, a frog, and 5 fish right now, all just chilling. But oh yeah, with the highlights, that's what I wanted to do. So dollar cost averaging. Where are we? Right here. So something the GME, this is a post I wrote a while back. Something the GME bears to understand is that it's irrelevant whether or not Roaring Kitty posts. There are many individual investors who have been steadily accumulating GameStop shares for years through dollar cost averaging. No matter what happens today or tomorrow, there are many individuals who will just continue to buy and hold. And you could say the same about this with Bitcoin and the S&P 500 and several other things, right? Not just GameStop. And again, everybody's different. It depends on the individual, right? I'm just saying this from a general perspective. Increased volatility naturally attracts traders, and that's perfectly fine. Everyone has their own individual approach. Some trade, some invest, some do both. What I find truly amusing is the amount of attention GameStop receives from those who dislike the company and or the stock. I genuinely can't imagine spending so much time on so much energy on something I dislike. Whether they like it or not, they only bring more attention to GameStop. So please keep talking and posting about it. And it's true, right? Is it not true? So it's like, even if you hate on it, you're still talking about it. You still get it in the algo as someone that typed in GameStop, right? So yeah, but no, really, I appreciate all you guys that show me love on X. I'm trying to steadily grow here. I recently wrote about Larry Chang, and this is something I dug into. I went just all in depth in his share ownership, and actually, come to think of it, I feel like I should add that on here, just as I continue to build out my canvases. Add web page. I guess I could just screenshot it, but we'll just do it like that. Again, I could just sort it out later, but what a time. And then 1.9 trillion Wells Fargo to approve its advisors to pitch Bitcoin ETFs. This is one of those things where Morgan Stanley did it, so they're all going to kind of do it. That's my perspective, at least, because if you remember that it used to be a time where institutions would always charge you to do their trade, right? TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, Morgan Stanley, Fidelity used to be $7 a trade, $10 a trade, $5 a trade, right? Per trade. I remember I started my first ever broker was Scott's Trade. I think that's the one my grandpa recommended. He's like, yeah, Scott's Trade is pretty good. Go with them. They eventually got bought out by TD Ameritrade, who now TD Ameritrade is owned by Charles Schwab. So over time, these institutions just get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And just combine and combine and combine every time there's kind of crisis. Just less and less banks and financial institutions over time. They just combine. Oh, you got a problem? I got a problem. We need liquidity. Yay! Let's just combine together. So, but my point I was starting to make before I got on a little tangent there is if one starts doing it, they all start doing it. They don't want to be the bank that's not offering that option to their institutional clients, even if most of them aren't choosing to use it. But it seems like it's out there now, right? Where Morgan Stanley does it, then Wells Fargo does it, so they're pretty much all going to start doing it, generally speaking, right? It's the same with the commissions on trades. It went from only Robinhood doing it, then Robinhood was gaining so much market share, then TD Ameritrade did it, and literally like that same week, Fidelity, E-Trade, suddenly every single one was like, yeah, actually, okay, we won't charge you fees anymore for your trade. And then what really took over, and Robinhood really normalized it, payment for order flow, right? And that's how they all make money now, right? They're just payment for order flow. That's a whole conversation in itself. But just another example where one company did it big and Robinhood really pioneered it and changed the game. And then from there, it never stopped. So, and this was crazy to me. When I saw this, I'm like, this can't be real. Warren Buffett now owns more T-bills than the Federal Reserve. That's actually crazy. Like, that is actually insane. And, like, also, great example of dollar cost averaging, right? He just bought and hold stocks for a long time. And not to mention, he just sold half his Apple stock. Like, that is worth noting. Like, that is huge. And they had a ton of Apple. And not because they were bought a lot, like they did buy a lot, right? But their stake grew so much in valuation. And then they're like, all right, actually, like, this is still too much valuation here. So they got an incredible amount of cash. Any kind of market crash, like Warren Buffett's gonna be more prepared forever. He is older now, but you know the people under him, and it's been, I think, long prepared for that. You know, he is near the end of his time, end of his career. You know, I hope he lives as long as absolutely possible. He's an absolute legend in the investing game, and we'll see. We'll see what he does with that cash, or Berkshire does with that cash. You know, it's beyond him. And also, from what I understand, when he bought Apple, he said it was like other respected members of Berkshire that like pushed for it or had basically the decision in it, and he kind of just had to give the okay, from what I understand. So it's also not entirely just him selling it at this point, too, because yes, he is the head of the company and really running the show, but at this point, also, I'm sure he's digressed and really diversified a lot of the different things he used to do and run all together, and just in preparation of, you know, the inevitable. I hate to say it like that, but that's just a crazy stat though when you think about it. More T-bills than the Federal Reserve. How does that happen? What's up, Tetron? You killing it? What up, Scott? Hope you're doing well. But yeah, we can get the light on. But I think I am actually going to wrap it up here because I honestly feel like a lot of people are going to watch that thing that's about to start with Elon and Trump. Um, and then yeah, also I really just want to keep my streams spot on. Like that's all I really had today to go over. Palantir got upgraded by Bank of America. I think Palantir is here to stay. I really, really am starting to believe in it a lot. The more and more I read about it and just understand what their business is, and you know, there's just a few points from what Bank of America says, and to me, like right now, it's a little pricey, but at the same time, suddenly it looks like no, the numbers are only going to get better and better and better, right? But that's the nature of the market. Every time you think that, then suddenly it goes down a lot. Then when you think, oh well, it's gonna probably go down more, then I'll buy some. It starts going up a lot, right? So, you don't ever truly know. But this is still weird to me. This is something else I got to look into. Just the high. Why would you sell these puts? Like, and also, does this happen on other stocks? Let me write this down. Future Noah's gotta check this out. Deep in the money puts get sold for other stocks. And then just for the sake of also having it easily acceptable, we'll throw it on here. Add web page. Yeah, really, guys, I encourage you. You don't have to necessarily use Obsidian. Use some kind of note-taking app. It's so helpful. Like Microsoft OneNote's really good. That's what I use at work. It's really good for just organizing information. It's basically like just having a ton of Word documents and like basically making a binder, and then you could easily access it. It's easily accessible, and I like Canvas. Oh my gosh, Obsidian, because you can make these canvases and really sort your information, add infographics, web pages, text, and there's ways to customize this too, because this is a plugin based program and it's pretty open source, so it's pretty interesting, right? And yeah, I don't know, it helps me. It's really helped me organize my information and reference things where I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I wrote about that, right? And just when I want to reference back like specific details, and obviously I'll update these each quarter. So when we get the Q2 numbers, these will all be updated. I might have to get the operating margin in here as well soon. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, just like that, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. We'll see what happens with GameStop. I just have a funny feeling that we're going to see another either Roy Kitty's going to come back or something bizarre is going to happen with GameStop before the end of this year. It's just a funny gut feeling I have. I could be totally wrong, so don't don't go making any moves on that. But I can tell you this: I think the GameStop saga is far from over. There's going to be many more ups, downs, twists, and turns, left and right. So just be mentally ready for everything and anything. And that's the best thing you can do, I think, for anything you're investing in or just any approach with the market. Whether you're trading, investing, buying options, selling options, doing a whole plethora of things, if you're mentally prepared for anything and everything, I think you're all right. You think you're all right in the long term. But I'll leave it there. I hope everyone has a great night. Stay tuned. Updates on X at Tetron Invest. I just post whenever the stream is, and gonna really try and do more. My formula that I'm trying to build is long form post, and then also create a video showing visuals of what I'm talking about in these long form posts, and then eventually probably start doing TikTok and Instagram with the shorts and stuff. But I don't know. I really like sticking to two platforms as I'm just building up initially and then expanding. But we'll see. Maybe it's almost time, right? Maybe it's almost time. But I really appreciate all of you guys being with me along this journey. I have a long way to go as well. Just like the GameStop saga is far from over, the Tetron saga is far from over. I got a lot more to figure out over time, and it's not going to be easy, but I just got to stick with it. And I really think I can make something great of Tetron. And we'll just see where this journey takes me, right? Join me on my journey of continuous learning. That's what I'm my X bio, and that's what this channel is. So appreciate you guys very much. Hope everyone out there has a fantastic night. Take care.